Alright, so just like I promised in yesterday's video, today we're going to be looking further into this brand new best money-making mutation in the entire game, being the Tentacle Surge at 10x sell value. In case you guys aren't aware, the entire Atlantis rod lineup basically got a full revamp as far as balancings and buffs and stuff like that, literally give or take about 24 hours ago. And realistically, the two major rods that sort of got the biggest buffs here are going to be the Kraken rod, as well as the infamous Zeus rod that everyone has been sort of waiting for this moment, because it was really going to be the deal breaker whether this rod became the best one in the game or if it just sort of became a kind of like end game, but sort of like mid-tier end game, if that makes sense. So I figured the best way to figure this out is to go ahead and put these head to head, and let's see which one performs the absolute best here. It's been a while since we do one of these videos, since we have been focused on other stuff, but I'm definitely excited to get right back into this. But before we continue on, let's transition over here to the Fishipedia so that way we can give you a quick little breakdown and a little bit more context as far as the passive ability goes for the Kraken rod, even though I'm sure the vast majority of you guys know about this. Now, for starters, the Kraken rod has a 10% chance to double any fish that is caught. On top of that, the big money maker here is going to be the 5% chance for the Tentacle Surge mutation to be applied to all of the fish caught. Now, I know I just said all of the fish caught, but what I meant to say was, you know, that 5% chance for that fish to turn it. You get what I mean. And for the final passive on this rod, which is not really that crazy to be honest, even though some people do read this and get excited, it says after 50 catches, there will be a guaranteed legendary, mythical, or exotic fish from any location. Now, as I was mentioning at the start of the video, if we take a look here at the mutation chart, you'll notice that at the very top now, leading the entire bunch, is indeed the Tentacle Surge with a 10x multiplier. This now completely blows out of the water Aurora as well as Wrath with a 6.5x, but of course at the disadvantage that it is only a 5% chance when you compare it with something like Aurora, that's a 15%. Prior to this recent buff, the Kraken rod was really looked at as more or less like a rod where you'd be able to work more towards your bestiary, because you were able to pretty much fish in certain areas and be able to get an exotic at a fairly decent chance, to be honest, and it was very, very easy to obtain. But now the million-dollar question, and why I'm doing this entire video, is to sort of see if this is going to be a viable option to go ahead and make money compared to something like the Zeus rod. Now, obviously, the best comparison here would probably be something like the Seraphic rod, but realistically, Seraphic rod is locked behind a level. Yes, it is a very good rod and probably an option that you should go for if you have it available. But what we want to do right now is focus on the rods that are purchasable in the most recent content update. Either way, as I'm sure you've already noticed, we are going to be doing today's test at Grand Reef, specifically the Atlantean Storm, just out of pure comfort. If I'm going to be 100% honest with you guys, I don't really want to go all the way up to the cryogenic canal where I would usually do these tests. We're just going to do it here. But the rules here are fairly simple. If this is your first time watching it, the way that we're going to handle this is we are going to do one full night cycle from start to finish with absolutely no boost whatsoever. We will have no Merlin luck, no server luck, no Aurora totems, as well as no special little events throughout the day. Like, for example, right now there's a mutation surge that will not be active throughout the entire run that we do. It is going to be purely off of RNG, and we're going to get a general idea to see which one makes more than the other. With that being said, we're going to get started with the Kraken rod. Let's go ahead and sundial, make sure that no special events are going on here, which it looks like we are pretty good right now. So let the fun begin. All right, so that is the end of the night cycle for us. And just to sort of get a general idea here, we actually got a fairly decent amount of Tentacle Surges there. In total, we got 6 of them, with, as a matter of fact, 2 of those being mythical fish, which is a huge surprise. Now, I probably should have provided this context before we actually even started, but I am running hasty on this, mixed in with also seaweed bait, But yeah, I'm curious to see how much this makes. I feel like at this point, we've gotten to sort of get a general understanding how much every single rod that we've tested out, roughly give or take, makes. So I feel pretty confident if I say that if this rod makes over 200K, it's actually going to be a fairly decent rod. Something like, for example, the Seraphic rod has made us anywhere up to like 270K. So for the Kraken rod, we are seeing, let's see, how much is it going to be? 175,000. So not really all that great, even though we had quite a fairly decent amount of tentacle surges there. The real question now is, will the Zeus rod put up a good fight up against the Kraken rod? Keep in mind that while the Zeus rod does have a higher lure speed, it only has 70% luck compared to the 185% that the Kraken rod has. But because the passive ability was recently fixed on this, when a thunderstorm is active, technically our luck should increase now. Aside from that, I'm currently running hasty on this, but I was sort of on the fence whether I wanted to use quantum just to sort of give this a mutation, even though technically you do get a mutation when the thunderstorm is active. And I feel like if I was running a completely different enchant on this and I just ran seaweed, while a thunderstorm is active, this will more than likely end up being an instant catch. But as a matter of fact, let me give you guys a little more context like we did with the Kraken rod. So basically, each catch offers a 10% chance to turn the nearby area into a thunderstorm. This thunderstorm will double the effect of shakes and will mutate 95% of the fish with electric shock mutation. Keep in mind, electric shock mutation sells for 3.5x. The remaining 5% of the mutations will be charred. Ironically enough, this only sells for a 0.5x. So now that you fully understand what we're looking for here, the real question is this going to outperform something like the Kraken rod? Because I also would like to point out that this rod technically is far more expensive than the Kraken rod. It is, I believe, 1.7 mil when the Kraken rod is 1.33333 mil. But as always, there is only one way to find out. Let's go ahead and sundial, get started, cue up the music. All right, so that is the end of the night cycle for the Zeus rod. And I'm going to be honest, man, I didn't really feel much of a luck change there. It could just be maybe a me issue. I don't know. Could have also just been pretty bad RNG run. But I'm definitely curious to see if it's going to beat 175K. I think if it does, I'll be extremely surprised. So let's go ahead and take a look here. We're going to sell inventory. 60,000. Oh my God, that is actually terrible. That seems so not right, but it is. 60,000 is crazy. I mean, it genuinely felt like I wasn't really catching that many mythicals at all whatsoever. Not during the thunderstorm or even outside of it. What I found pretty interesting is that if you come back over here to the wiki, at the bottom it says gameplay notes, and it mentions the thunderstorm passive will instead set your user's luck to 0 regardless of luck boost, making this rod nearly unusable. That in itself is extremely interesting because now it makes a lot of sense on why it performs so bad. It's unfortunate, man. I still think that there's a little bit of hope for this rod if it can get fixed the correct way. But in its current state, man, it's sort of unfortunate. Now, obviously, the clear winner here is going to be the Kraken rod, which is surprisingly enough a lot cheaper. And in the defense of the Kraken rod, before I actually started recording this video, I obviously did all of these tests already a couple of times, so I sort of already knew who the winner was going to be. And in the most recent run that I did before the one that we just recorded, I made 213K with this rod. So it definitely has the potential to make a lot more than the 175K that we got. But again, that obviously means, like we're all aware, it is all pretty much just RNG based. So now go ahead and go into the comment section and let's see who you guys want to see me put this up against. Do you guys want to see Kraken rod versus Poseidon rod, or maybe up against the Forgotten Fang? I would mention Seraphic rod, but I just don't feel like anything in the game right now is worth putting up against a Seraphic rod, because this rod is just OP. It doesn't matter even if it did get nerfed, it is still the best rod in the game. I mean, like, it quite literally makes everything just so much easier. That 50% boost to the progression and the absolutely ridiculous stats that this has makes this such an OP rod, man. Only thing this rod is missing right now is a nice skin added to the game for it. Who knows? Fingers crossed. Either way, man, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comment section if you've been using the Kraken rod. With this mutation boost that I just recently got, I think if you don't have a seraphic rod, it's actually a pretty viable option. You could be making some really good money while also at the same time be working towards your mythic as well as your exotics in your best year. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys in the next one because we might have ourselves some hackers to catch. Take care.